Have you ever wondered, did Jesus really rise from the dead? Well, in this video, we're going to take a look at 5 possibilities. But before we get going, please subscribe to our channel, give it a thumbs up, and share this with anybody you think might be interested. Jesus rising from the dead is the most important event in human history. But did he actually rise from the dead? Here are 5 possibilities. Number 1. Well, did Jesus actually really die on the cross? We know from the Bible that it says he did, but did you know that many 1st century and even early 2nd century Roman sources and Jewish sources acknowledge and affirm that Jesus was actually crucified and died? For example, the Roman source Tacitus, or even the Jewish source Josephus. Why is this important? Because these were enemies of the gospel. So if they're acknowledging it, then it speaks volumes about what actually happened on the cross. Plus, consider this. Do you know what would happen to the Roman guards if they did not ensure that Jesus died on the cross, or anybody for that matter? They would face death themselves. Do you think they really would have taken the chance and not ensured that Jesus was dead on the cross? I wonder. And number 2, did the disciples lie about the resurrection? Well, did you know that the Jewish authorities at the time went out of their way to make sure that the tomb of Jesus was heavily guarded? Check out Matthew chapter 27. And why would they do this? Because they did not want the disciples to remove the body and claim that Jesus had risen. And also, consider the transformation of the disciples. I mean, they went from cowards to the most courageous evangelists. What could have explained this other than them seeing the risen Christ? And what were their motives? Death. So it's more likely than not that they were telling the truth. Number 3, did the disciples hallucinate the resurrection? Well, first of all, hallucinations are individual events. These are not large group events. And in fact, there are no examples in history that would suggest otherwise. For example, a few people might dream about the President of the United States, but the actions that occur in the dream would be different. Why? Because dreams, like hallucinations, happen within your own mind, not in the mind of others. But the disciples all witnessed and experienced the risen Christ. Plus, consider that Jesus was seen on more than one occasion by a number of different subsets of groups, which only compounds the unlikeliness that these were hallucinations. Number 4, did the disciples mistake the risen Jesus for an impostor? Well, first of all, the impostor would have to be familiar with Jesus' every mannerism. Secondly, it's not as if the disciples were expecting Jesus to rise from the dead. They were skeptical. Why is this important? Because if they were actually expecting him and awaiting for him to rise from the dead, then an impostor or a predator could have taken advantage of that, knowing that they were expecting it all along. And perhaps more importantly, the impersonator would have had to do miracles like Jesus. So let's just assume, even if you don't believe that Jesus did all the miracles that he did. Now, I could try to pretend to be Jesus, but could I do the miracles he did? And we know that's one of the proofs that Jesus gave after he rose from the dead. Check out Acts chapter 1. And finally, number 5. Maybe, just maybe, the disciples were telling the truth. I mean, think about it. Non-biblical sources attest to it. The tomb was heavily guarded, and yet still, no one in human history has provided a reasonable explanation for the empty tomb or has produced Jesus' body. You see, the only thing you would have to believe with this option is that Jesus could have rose from the dead. You have to believe in the supernatural. Now, if you believe in God, then the supernatural is possible. But if you don't believe in God, then I can certainly understand your hiccup. So check back in and take a look at our other videos that discuss why it's more reasonable for God to exist than not exist. Hope you liked this video, and again, please don't forget to subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and share this with anybody you think might like it.